did you go to school?
And who's your
What do you think of what's going on right now, mate?
These evil little invisible parasites.
Satan-worshipping Freemason moron.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
We're not run by factions.
Get the fuck out of camera!
There are much more powerful international forces in play.
Is this pink guy? Is this what pink guy is? I don't fucking know what's happening.
Please go outside and look at the moon quickly.
It's been crazy, guys, but guess what? It's how it is, mate.
Mate, because I want to do you slowly.
But I ain't spending any time on it.
Welcome to the Conditional Release Program, a podcast that delves into the netherworld of cults, crims, and con artists. I'm Jack the Insider, otherwise known as Peter Hoisted for tax purposes.
And I'm Joel Hill, and on today's program, Jack has discovered a secret, the 10-step stairway to success by self-representation. Staring us in the face.
You and your law talking mates are finished, Joel. You've been replaced by a textbook on 17th century Portuguese maritime law.
Yeah, well, it was either that or ChatGPT, Jack, so, it's been coming. It's been coming.
To get us all.
Yes.
In other news, Ben Roberts-Smith has made a bloody big X on the fucked around and found out correlation graph.
Yes, he has. Right there in the middle of the graph is an enormous splotch of fucked around and found out. It's just a Venn diagram of fuck.
Meanwhile, cookers think state premiers are lodging at Guantanamo Bay for some reason.
Yes, it's Crimes Against Humanity. It's the vibe. It's basically it's a sequel to Nuremberg 2.0, Jack.
No, would that be Nuremberg 4.0, Joel? Do you multiply Nurembergs or do you simply add one?
Something about prime numbers? I'm not great at maths, Jack, but I do know that CRP is 0. Free.
Yes. Well,
but it's
free.
actually, it's not cheap. Or it's a loss leader, as they call in the business world.
It is indeed a lost letter, and it is time-consuming to prepare the show. And while we love to bring it to you, we would appreciate a little support.
It does help a lot. For as little as $5 a month, you can become patrons of the CRP. I like TCRP. And enjoy all sorts of benefits, including premium content, premium in air quotes, participate in Zoom forums, which are actually a lot of fun. And the main thing is you help us record the program and keep the lights on.
Yeah.
And speaking of helping keep the lights on, the thing that keeps my lights on is beer. That's what really helps me get through the program. Not moral support,
It
not
keeps
financial support.
your liver's lights on.
Well, yeah, it does. It gives it a challenge. It's good. So, look, this delicious yellow tin of CBCO IPA is going to make this episode funnier and better, I assure you. And I recently had their barrel release bottle, Aurum. It was sent to me because I'm a fucking VIP beer snub and they're really good to me down there. And it was fucking delicious. It was a sour that had been in casks for ages. It was very patient. It's a very nice thing. Probably very expensive. Delicious. But I polished that off last weekend because popping bottle caps sounds shit on a podcast. So anyway, buy their beer because it is great.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Joel, that was truly shameless.
I know.
Once I finally get my bloody draft tins, I might have more time for such gasps of desperation.
Yeah,
but we must get on with the show. So let's get on with it right now. The Conditional Release Program and the weekly news. It's the greatest self-own in history since German Field Marshal Friedrich Paulus predicted a mild winter in Stalingrad in 1941.
That's fucking terrible.
It's the greatest act of reputational self-harm since Democrat Congressman Anthony Weiner, remember him? Told a 15-year-old girl over the phone, "Hey, baby, want to see my sexy middle-aged body?"
Oh, that dick could have been president if he just kept it in his pants. Great cock, though. Great cock.
Yes, Ben Roberts-Smith sued the SMH, the Age and the Canberra Times, claiming they had defamed him by calling him a murderer and a war criminal, only to have a federal court judge find that BRS was, in fact, a murderer and a war criminal.
Yes, that's the problem. Defamation does have a truth defence, which is very problematic. Occasionally, though inaccurately described as Australia's most decorated living soldier, BRS's plummet from hero to zero continues apace as we record on the 4th of June. Boo!
Yeah, Australia's most decorated soldier. Quite seriously, I'd give that title to Keith Payne, a Korean War and Vietnam veteran.
Yeah.
He was one of 4 VC recipients in the Vietnam War.
Okay.
His bravery at Ben Het Camp in 1969 is something to behold. He would have saved the lives of 40 or more Australian soldiers, most of them Nashos, while he was severely wounded. He'd basically taken a hand grenade blast to the head.
Jesus fucking Christ! I'm guessing.
And went and found soldiers that were lost and subject to ambush. Basically strapped himself up and organised a withdrawal back to base. An extraordinary thing.
So I'm guessing Nashos, that's what, like conscripts?
Conscripts, yeah, known as Nashos, yeah. So, they would have been feeling very lost, 20-year-old young men, and they're out in the middle of absolute shitstorm with the North Vietnamese army firing away at them.
Fuck that.
So God bless Keith Payne. He was, in fact, everything BRS was not. Or he is, in fact, everything BRS was not. Keith Payne remains alive.
Well, before we get too far into this, I need to make sure that before Jack fills your head with disinformation from the mainstream media, I'm here to tell you the truth. That's right, TROOF. And, to be honest, there's not much of it. And look, the thing I love doing with this podcast is venturing into the wild imagination of cookers. It's, fan fiction. It's fucking hilarious. And to be honest, this one has them stumped. You see, Ben Roberts-Smith is a patsy. He's part of a much wider conspiracy, but we're not quite sure what that conspiracy is. So that's kind of boring. He's definitely a fall man. That's all over the place that I've been seeing. They've been using him as a scapegoat. But for what? I mean, basically the white hats haven't sent us the, telegram, right? So Dave O'Neig spent a lot of words saying absolutely nothing, but essentially figures that war is bad, often orchestrated by fuckhead governments who don't care about the people involved, and it's often motivated by profits. I mean, I don't disagree with a lot of that. I can see where he's coming from. But his meandering style of using a lot of words to avoid making a point concludes that BRS isn't such a bad guy after all. He's a product of a bad system, which, I mean, I'm guessing maybe that, he doesn't mind Avi Yemeni, so maybe O'Neig just doesn't have too much of an issue with domestic violence either. I mean, so... Top take. Well done. Well done, Dave.
It's nice to hear from the pro-murder lobby every now and then, isn't it?
Yeah, it's charming. So the general vibe is that he's a scapegoat for the criminal activities of the Australian government, which is, of course, the vaccine program. The mainstream media for saying that vaccines are probably a good idea.
Them again.
And crimes against humanity, mostly because it sounds really cool. Just plonk in there. Crimes against humanity. You will hang. Oh, that's fun. But you see, BRS actually did, well... on balance of probabilities, commit crimes against humanity. So, I mean, but I guess that's not as bad as Dan Andrews for some reason.
Nowhere near it.
He's the worst.
Near it.
Just terrible. So generally speaking...
Fog of war, mate. Fog of war.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's just you don't understand what it's like. I mean, I don't either, but you don't either. So let's just agree to disagree, bro. Let's not say that Afghans aren't real people. Let's say the quiet part. Let's just jail them and off. Anyway, I'm going to go on a rant. So generally speaking, people on Telegram are actually anti-war hippies. I found this really nice. It's bizarre they're so happy to say punch down on trans people and do other culture war shit. When it comes down to war, not quick to cheerlead. I expected so much more cheerleading of war crimes. The fucking Anzacs and stay out of business. You don't understand what it's like in the war. But I was actually mildly relieved by the sort of lack of bloodlust and racism, which is, of course, on the worst social media platform ever, except for maybe Elon's Twitter, which is really turned to shit.
Speaking of which, yes, there was and I did retweet this stuff, actually. I snapped an image of it because I'm not having these clowns on my timeline.
Get 'em.
Marcus Fu said, can't wait for all those this is on Twitter, can't wait for all those war soldier experts to come out on Twitter applauding the judgment against BRS today. None of them would be courageous enough to wear a uniform and fight for our country with bravery. Cowards.
Mm-hmm.
And this provoked Artie Smith to jump in and say, it's the lynch mob of limp-wristed, green-voting, girly men who've never done a manly thing. Says this unironically. Girly men who've never done a manly thing in their effeminate, worthless lives who hate Ben Roberts-Smith because he reminds them of what they can never be.
Jesus Christ. Well, yes, exactly.
War criminal. I doubt, at this stage of my life, I have to say that I doubt that I will become a war criminal at any point soon. So,
I do feel safe in saying that. I've got a Telegram message sort of similar to that, which I wasn't sure if I was going to include in the program, but now I'm feeling spicy. Let's chuck it in.
Chuck it in.
Here's this genius take here, which is, why is it the Australian troops are to be held to the rules of war, in quotation marks, while coming up against fucking animals that would happily burn them alive? A citation needed there. Mm-hmm. All these latte-sipping woke-tards need to realise that war is hell. People die. Warrior legends who fought for all of us to have our freedoms, and so many people gleefully try to shoot them down. I will stand with Ben before any wanker slagging him off.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
Doesn't he seem just super cooked? I wonder. I'm just sort of trying to wonder how many domestic violence convictions that fellow would have to his name. I'm going to say
just say
4.
several. I'm just going to say several. An open-ended estimate. What a fucking piece of work. I mean, just imagine going to like a child sports game with that as one of the parents. You just expect to get punched. Your fucking son tackled my kid wrong, and I'm going to fucking have you. And you're like, oh, God, it's the Ben Robert Smith guy again. Oh, he wears his grandpa's medals on the wrong side. He's a fucking weirdo.
Well,
just
if
stay
he's
away from
wearing
him.
him on the left side, he's committing a criminal offence, Joel.
Yeah, but as if that's going to stop them. Anyway, that was fun.
Anyway, yes, look, cookers aside, one thing you can take to the bank is that heads will roll when your ally, the largest military on earth, with a spending budget larger than the next 8 nations combined, the US military, the Pentagon, the DOD, the Green Machine, says you're a bit too war crimey for our liking.
Yes.
You know that Australian prosecutors, the AFP and the Commonwealth DPP will be busy with BRS next cab off the rank.
It is pretty hard when the Yanks call you out for something that they are basically known for.
And this was, yes, indeed, yeah. From the Australian, a day before the judgment, interestingly, a day before the judgment was handed down in the federal court, went as follows, Joe.
The US warned Australia's Chief of Defence Force that allegations of war crimes by Australian soldiers in Afghanistan could prevent the US military from working with Australia's elite special forces units more than 2 years ago. Damn, this has been in the wash for a while.
It has, yes.
Quote, in explosive evidence to Senate estimates on Wednesday, General Angus Campbell said he received a letter from the US Defence Attaché in Canberra warning that the Brereton War Crimes Report could trigger a US law banning cooperation with military units implicated in gross human rights violations. Oh, is that just one side, or can we not hang out with their human rights? Anyway, I shouldn't go into it. General Campbell said the March 2021 letter, about 4 months after the Brereton report was released, led to a precautionary period during which cooperation engagements were reassessed. It's just ominous.
Very interesting.
As far as the fall guy goes, I mean, look, all the cookers are wanking on about conspiracy theories and blah, 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 but this isn't a conspiracy. This is just unfortunate hardcore diplomacy where the Yanks, who have kicked heads, I mean, like they posed with piles of prisoners. Holy fuck. But BRS got famous for it. The Streisand effect happened, and now he's fucked.
Yes, it's huge news because the people who gave us the My Lai massacre in Vietnam in 1969 and WikiLeaks collateral murder video in Iraq where more than a dozen Iraqi civilians, including 2 who worked for news agency Reuters, were machine gunned to death from a helicopter with a 50 cal. Those people, the US military, are unhappy with our people, the ADF. Look,
that's like a snippet. That's such a snippet.
WikiLeaks collateral murder. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. My Lai massacre.
No. The real problem was sharing the video, wasn't it? That's the real crime.
Yeah.
Right?
That is in fact a very, very serious crime,
isn't it? Oh yes. And look, for our American friends, I take that very seriously.
We're taking that very seriously.
If you're listening. Don't kill me.
It's the sort of thing that will land Julian Assange with a good 20 to 25 year sentence in a federal prison, I think.
One with a lot of fluorescent lighting and Metallica, apparently.
Yeah.
And Nine Inch Nails, actually.
It's true that the evidence given by the former SAS servicemen effectively led to Justice Besenko's verdict that BRS had killed 4 unarmed men, either non-combatants or detainees. These men, those SAS servicemen giving evidence, did not lie under oath, and when challenged, they told their truths.
Yeah, yep.
And none better than the Liberal member for Canning. Not one of my fans, a deeply conservative fellow himself.
Yeah, not my favourite.
But, credit where it's due. Andrew Hastie, he was the Liberal member for Canning, one of the few federal seats held by the Liberal Party, was a captain in the SAS who was listed as an observer, and that means not in active duty, not at the time, so he's not out fighting. He's acting as an observer. In Sayachau, at Sayachau, which is in Uruzgan province, Afghanistan, where Justice Besenko found BRS was involved in the murder of two detainees. That was the incident in 2012, including that BRS kicked an unarmed detainee, Ali Jan, who was in handcuffs. at the time, kicked him off a cliff where
Rude.
Ali Jan fell 10 metres and suffered serious injury. BRS and a subordinate soldier, known as Person 56, then climbed down the cliff, dragged Ali Jan's body under a tree where BRS directed Person 66 to shoot Ali Jan dead.
That's not nice.
Husty said that he received a debrief from BRS in the ensuing days back at the ADF base, and he did not believe a word BRS told him. Husty said, "It's my view that Person 66 was blooded." And this is a term we're getting used to now. The concept of blooding is your first kill, your first cold-blooded kill. It's very much like that.
Really? So it's not just sort of like, taking someone's life in combat, but something that's a lot more execution style.
Well, the context of this is absolutely clear. The Person 66, who actually did give evidence in the federal court, but declined to answer questions on the grounds of self-incrimination, was directed. This is what Pasenko has found, that he was directed as a junior soldier, directed by BRS to execute Ali Jan as he lay there with serious wounds, serious head wounds. He'd broken his jaw almost certainly. Teeth had fallen out all over the place. It'd fallen 10 metres, so he was
10
in a
metres
very, very bad way. And then,
I'm amazed that he survived it all.
Yeah, anyway, so Hastie gave testimony at the trial, and according to The Guardian on 18 June 2021, he said,
Mr. Robert Smith walked past me and he looked me in the eye and said, "Just a couple more dead cunts."
ooh,
It's not good. So Hastie was present when Ben Robert Smith gave an oral debrief of the mission to senior SAS command, and he told the court on Friday that Robert Smith's version represented an, quote, alternate universe. That's a nice way of saying lying. Big time. The reality described by Mr. Robert Smith was different to one in actuality. See, that's nice lawyer speak for basically saying this lying piece of shit made up every goddamn word he said.
he was lying.
Amazing.
I knew he was lying.
I quite like the way he said it, though. He's very, very legal speak. It's the kind of thing when people say my learned friend when they're actually referring to the other lawyer they want to strangle in a car park.
Alternate universe instead of from another planet.
Yes. Just a lying sack of shit would have been fine, but no, I like it. It's classy.
Hastie, in evidence, said he was disquieted by what had happened at Saichow, and before deploying in command of an SAS troop the next year, briefed his subordinates on the need to obey the laws of war.
Mm-hmm.
Under cross-examination, this is the bit that I really like, Hastie told the court the SAS, that I find most interesting, Hastie told the court the SAS was deeply factionalised during the period of his service, and he was deeply troubled by soldiers adhering to what he described as, and this is a direct quote, pagan warrior culture.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get on with quite a few people at the regiment at that time. That's SASR. There was something of a culture war going on. And in the warrior culture that was being emphasised at the time, shorn of just war theory, without just war theory.
Like as in justice war.
Just war, yes.
Okay.
Killing became a sacrament in itself.
Ooh, that's kind of chilling.
Now, to the journalists, Nick McKenzie and Chris Masters.
Good lad. Doesn't like Nazis.
Chef's kiss. It was and is superb journalism, obviously undertaken at great personal sacrifice. McKenzie looks like he's still 22. Can we just stop a moment and contemplate the lustrousness of his hair?
Oh, he can get fucked.
He's a good-looking rooster, isn't he, Nick McKenzie? Anyway,
bastard.
Good-looking rooster and a hell of a journalist. And Chris Masters, well, what a family he comes from, the Masters family, and what a journalist he is. I also think hats off to the court. There is a likelihood of an appeal, but as it stands, it's a major, major, major win for journalism in this country.
Yeah, great.
We have absurd defo laws in this country, but one thing we have learned is if you run a truth defence, you better have all your ducks in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, they did, and that was the basic thing, This is the thing that I find fascinating about a lot of these type things where it's someone, wants to say, oh, well, I'm going to get you for defo, blah, blah, blah. Usually it's a wealthier person picking on someone to try and silence them. And these days, I mean, if you can get someone on the balance by saying, basically, this is true, and you can get people to turn on them, and people who threaten lawsuits probably have a lot of enemies, this is what happens. And not only that, but a lot of sunlight gets shone on it. If you don't want people to know what a piece of shit you are, and someone calls you a piece of shit and you are a piece of shit, just wear it. Just let it happen. Let it go.
Yeah, I guess the question is, how long does Kerry Stokes stick to BRS? Now, we do know that BRS has resigned from his position as manager the Queensland Channel 7 office.
Some very creepy stuff happened there, apparently, but that's a whole other story.
There's some creepy stuff along the lines that he hired a private detective to, and this private detective is sort of basically turned on BRS now. He hired everyone has. He hired a private detective to find out what the people in the office at Channel 7 Queensland thought of him.
Yep, that was what I was thinking of.
That's normal.
Wasn't it something to do with a party they threw or something?
Doesn't everyone do that? You know, I wonder what she thinks of me. I think I might invite her out for breakfast. I better hire a private investigator first.
Yes, exactly.
Just to find out, what she really thinks about me. So we did that across the board. From what I read from Mackenzie in the 9 papers today, the arrest of BRS can't be far away. And that's not over war crimes, not yet anyway. That's coming down the pipe. Oh, Benny boy. But the threats BRS, this has all come down to the threats BRS made to witnesses during the defo trial.
Oof.
Allegedly.
But look, BRS is one of 4 VC recipients in the Afghan conflict, and the 3 other VCs were awarded in the Afghan theatre, with one of them being awarded posthumously. So, in death bravery.
Oh, a great many of the VCs are. I mean,
it's interesting to see that, though.
The highest military medal that Australia has.
BRS wasn't the only person that was over there, getting his hands dirty in Afghanistan. And the other ones may or may not have been war criminals. So got that going for them.
No. We definitely can't say that, John. Daniel Keegren, what he did was extraordinary. Corporal Cameron Baird was the posthumous award in 2013.
Yeah.
Mark Donaldson in 2008 and Daniel Keegren in 2010, as I say. When we think of VCs, we think of Ben Roberts-Smith. That's the point I'm trying to make. And really there are a long list of very, very brave men and women who've gone through the ADF in the last 120 odd years who've done extraordinary things.
Arguably more deserving.
And look, to be honest, the ADF put this guy forward as a sort of almost comic superhero.
Okay.
And it's a huge, huge fall from grace. What do you reckon you could get for his VC at Cash Converters, Joe?
Ooh, good question. I mean, you can't really do like a good raffle for it or anything like that because your name's dog shit.
Because they're going to say you're going to have to give this back. At the moment, they won't because it's not a conviction. Well, in the absence of a criminal conviction, I don't think anyone is prepared to act to take that medal off him.
It'd be like a one of those like O.J. Simpson situations where his life falls apart and he has to start fucking pawning off his trophies and shit. But then, of course, he finds out where they are and breaks in and tries to steal them and then goes to jail. It wasn't that a fun episode in the history of life?
Yeah, it's just that. So he'll retain that medal. He did offer it as collateral for Kerry Stokes funding his trial.
So it wouldn't surprise me if Kerry Stokes just pinned it on his wall.
Well, Kerry Stokes, I think he may still be on the War Memorial Committee.
Interesting.
And so, that's where it is anyway at the moment. There's still a great big BRS presentation there, a stage there with his medals, his Afghan combat gear all stepped up to look like a person and all this sort of stuff. And they're kind of not quite sure what to do about all that now.
Yes, maybe cash
but
converters.
I would imagine, just reading Nick McKenzie today, that it would indicate to me that the AFP are very serious about charging him over alleged approaches that he made to witnesses, seeking to intimidate witnesses.
Yeah.
And if convicted of such an offence, regardless of what happens along the lines of criminal charges for war crimes, that would be sufficient for someone to say, for the Governor General actually to say, "Hey, champion, see that purple one? See the one with the purple ribbon? Give us it back."
Yeah. Look, and rightly so, to be fair. But let's let the process go out. But balance of probabilities isn't that far off beyond reasonable doubt.
It's going to be tougher. But yes, indeed.
And moving on, the shock resignation of the all-conquering Mark McGowan this week will usher in a by-election in the seat of Rockingham in Perth's outer southern suburbs in a date yet to be set. It's going to be fun. I'm not going to bother watching. It's going to be pretty one-sided, I think. So as McGowan exited stage right, the media invariably took to tediously describing the WA Premier as a rock star politician because, of course, there's no creativity left. It could have been ChatGPT that said that. I mean, it's as if like Liam Gallagher had woken up, done a few lines and thought, I I think the next step for me career-wise is to become the Premier of Western Australia. I mean, shut the fuck up, guys.
Rock star politician.
Get a new line.
Everyone did it. Rock stars, genuine rock stars. I mean, Mick Jagger turns
Actual
80
rock
next month.
stars. Yeah.
Hendrix is dead, which is
Yes.
nature's way of saying you couldn't possibly get any older. While Van Morrison is
God, well
77 and Eric
Van
Clapton's
Morrison's a
78. Both are cooked to the shit house. Their minds turned to mush, barely capable of understanding a world beyond the 1970s that in turn they can barely remember or don't remember outside of a fog of nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, I don't think we should be taking too many lectures from Eric Clapton on child welfare either.
That hurts. So Mark McGowan is not a rock star. Rock stars are either old and cooked or dead. And regardless of what people may think about the long-term consequence to Australia's federalism of Mark McGowan's premiership during the pandemic, which was pretty fucking extreme, and the sort of dreary business of state border closures, which were challenged mildly, what Mark McGowan did was reduce his opposition to political dust. And there's a little bit of rock and roll in that, but not a lot. This is where the two WA Liberal MLAs who remain in the 59-seat lower house chamber caucus in a fucking linen closet. And they find it very
Don't need
crowded.
any more room than that.
No. And while the Liberals plot their revenge on WA Labor in a sort of Telstra phone booth scenario, the Cookers are absolutely celebrating McGowan's resignation because
Hooray.
he's gone and they see that as a win. See,
Mhm.
McGowan reckons he's burned out, reckons he's tired, and
That's not true.
boring.
That can't be right.
I'm coming back with some of that TOOF, as if that's true. I mean, well, if it is, it's not true enough for Cookers. Not true enough for me, personally. I'm not convinced. So let's get some real truth. Peter McCullough has some bombshell evidence on vaccines, pretty fucking vague, I didn't watch the video, that will see premiers and presidents alike going to Nuremberg 2.0. So
we're
don't worry.
still on 2.
Oh, no, we haven't had the hangings yet. I mean, you'll know about it. You'll be part
I
of
thought
it.
we've moved on to at least 3.
Look, the sound of your neck snapping is when Nuremberg 2.0 happens. You keep forgetting you're part of this. I'm going to get away with it. I'm going to lay low.
I was a lawyer. Oh God, no. It'd be like Pol Pot's Khmer Rouge, Khmer Republic.
Oh, yeah.
Can you speak more than one language? That'll be. Oh, okay. No.
Is your
get in the
vocabulary that of a
fucking truck.
Labrador?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
We're
look, it's
gonna
happening
have
really,
to
really
pretend to be
soon.
Taxi drivers.
This podcast is fucked because basically just in, like a fortnight or so. But
Yeah, soon.
all this applies, especially for McGowan, who's definitely first against the wall. You see, he oversaw the destruction of a shitload of hydroxychloroquine that Clive Palmer bought to save Australia from COVID.
Yeah, why didn't that save Australia?
That's his big hanging moment. So while McGowan is on a hook for a bunch of crimes against humanity, blah, 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 the main one was stopping Fatty McFuckface from handing out his malaria medicine, and that's the real reason why his neck is going to snap in public.
Right.
Yeah, see, got it all figured out, right? But it's not as simple as that. That's so basic. That's like MSM shit, right? There's messaging in everything. You just got to look between the lines. So you've got this try-hard Q LARPer account on Telegram called F3B Decode, and he said this.
BQQQQM.
Yeah, it's like boom, but
Boom
like with Q
with
because
Qs.
QAnon. Yeah, it's real
Oh.
fucking smart, right?
I mean, I knew it was boom, but yeah, the QAnon thing.
yeah, it's a Q. Yeah,
And then
Q.
three popcorn emojis.
Yeah.
Q2803,
That'd be
tell
like
us
Q drop.
about forced. Yes, I knew that was the number of Q drops.
Yeah.
Tell us about forced resignations, and we have been witnessing them. WA Premier, this is all in caps. I should
Yes.
really be yelling this.
And there's also lots of like weird paragraphs where it's meant to look like some sort of like
I know,
military
it's just
telegram.
Sudden, it's just sudden, no end of sentences
'Cause
goes
it
to a
makes
new paragraph.
It makes it look like, like in the movies when it comes up in lines. These people are fucking
like a
idiots.
teletype, like a
Yeah,
teleprinter.
exactly. Yeah, they're fucking idiots.
Tell us about forced resignations, and we have been witnessing them. WA Premier doesn't only step down, but resigns. So resigns from politics for good because of exhaustion. Let's look for comms in article. Exhaustion equals his contract with WH, which I presume is White House, has been exhausted.
It could be white hats.
White hats. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Has been exhausted. Time to go and be taken down organically for the masses.
Huh?
Comms rec 5.5 clear. With only 45 minutes notice to organise press conference, 45 mins equals 45. 45 equals, in parentheses, Trump. 45th president. Oh, my God. It's all starting to make sense now.
That's so fucking dumb.
Coincidence? I don't think so. There are none. White hats in control. Prepare for more heads to roll. Signing off, FCB.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, apparently there was a situation where Mark McGowan resigned in a sort of shock situation that only had 45 minutes notice for the press conference. People had to shuffle their way there or some shit. Who knows? Only a fucking cooker could fucking bake that crumb
It
from
could have
being
been
a 45
44. It could have been 46. You know, I mean, in terms of minutes.
Yeah,
I mean,
in terms of actual minutes.
it could have been 47. It might have been 51.
I saw Kevin Rudd resign, or like, you know, when he lost the spill, and he was like 45 minutes late.
He didn't lose the spill.
Well, he pulled out.
He pulled out.
Either way.
He rang around at night and said, will you vote for me?
And they went,
and he
nah.
found that he had about 4 votes and went, no, I'll just resign.
Either way, I had to really piss, and I didn't have press credentials, so I couldn't get back in, so I had to wait it out. It was the most agonizing fuck. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, look, this is the kind of dumb shit we're dealing with. And this is why I love cookers, because every day is like a sort of Dungeons and Dragons. Like the world is just one big like graphic novel to them, which I just find really funny. Another thing, which is just a last minute offshoot, which is another weird sort of common law group that I didn't bother really getting the name of because I don't really like how to find these motherfuckers. They're claiming they provoked this with this 2-page PDF, which was this pseudo-law nonsense, basically calling the military useless for not arresting McGowan, which was just like a couple of weeks prior. And it's just what they do. They release these things.
They're soft.
The fucking military, well, BRS would do it, but he's too busy. He's too busy being a fall guy for the man.
That's right. Yeah, that's why they're keeping him out.
But of course, now that McGowan's gone, they've decided that this is the military, having seen their little fucking weird PDF they released on Telegram, and they've been like, we're not fucking useless, and they proved that they're not useless. They did like this whole poem on it, but I didn't put it into the document because honestly, it's so shit.
It's too awful.
But look, you know, basically the last thing is he's going to Gitmo. He's apparently going with a Koshi from Sunrise, which is a whole other tangent I'm not going down because, to be honest, I can't be bothered.
It's nuts.
It's just so silly.
Silly.
Nothing can stop what's coming. Blah, blah, fucking blah.
Yeah, well, look, I think the classy thing to do, Joel, is leave the cookers and also the Western Australian Liberal Party alone to their pain.
Yes.
But there are signs there may be trouble in political paradise, Western Australian Labor Party, because there was no smooth transfer of power within the Labor government in Western Australia.
Ah, yes, because the
That was all
premiership
messy.
was ultimately delivered to McGowan's deputy, Roger Cook, but the day after McGowan's resignation, Transport Minister Amber Jade Sanderson had held a presser comfortable that she had been anointed as McGowan's successor with the factional support of the United Workers' Union, only to find out that Cook had quietly summoned the numbers on the right and left from the Australian Manufacturing Workers' Union to secure the top job. Ouch.
Yeah, it was a bold move from Amber Jade Sanderson, even bolder because Cook was considered to be, didn't have the stomach for a fight and all that sort of stuff. And everyone watched Amber Jade Sanderson and a lot of people said, how fucking dare she? This is the premiership of Western Australia. This is real hardball politics because, this is the winner takes everything.
Sounds like Amber Jade Thatcher by the sound of things, but well done.
This is where Labor get the toe cutters out,
Yeah, it does sound pretty rough. Also, ironically, Cooker, very funny, but they don't like him. One kid was saying, oh, can someone tell me about like this secret military weapons program he was working on? It's like, you made that up. You made that up.
You just made that up, didn't you?
You just made that up. Yeah.
Yeah, Cook's job now is to at least create a pretense of unity while pondering how Sanderson's factional mates in and out of the caucus might react to what they consider was a betrayal.
Or at least a humiliation, to be fair. But a humiliation of your own making, fucking idiot.
The most successful, electorally successful government really in history, in Australian history, it's now just got some problems on its hands. But
yes,
I mean,
you'll be in forever.
If anyone was worried about consequences from McGowan could have easily gone for 2 more terms.
Oh, totally.
3, 4. I mean, there's just no opposition. But for the record, McGowan held, and I've got to yell at these stats people because these are stats that you will never see around a politician ever again. For the record, McGowan held his seat of Rockingham with 83% of the primary vote in the 2021 election.
That's not two-party preferred. That's primary vote.
82.8 it was. His Liberal opponent could not get to double figures. He had just on 9% of the primary vote. I have to say that again because those are the figures we tend to see for Saddam Hussein
Yep.
or Vlad the Invader.
Yep.
You know, rootin' tootin' Putin in dodgy election. In
Yeah.
a genuine election without any sign of electoral fraud. Mark McGowan received 83% of the primary vote in the seat of Rockingham in the 2021 WA state election. And you know what? It'll just need a mere 40% swing. And that will knock over the pre-selected Labor incumbent. Any chance for the Libs, Joel? I wouldn't think so. I think the bookies will be a straight $1 for Labor. And so if you had $1 billion, you could make $1 million just having a bet on Labor in
That's
Rockingham.
true.
But you'll need $1 billion first.
They're like bank interest odds during the pandemic when interest rates didn't exist. Yep, that's it's not exactly inspiring kind of election.
Can you imagine? I'm
odds.
just trying to think from sort of central casting from the West Australian Liberal Party. What sort of candidate would they throw up to take on whoever it is? We don't know who the Labor replacement candidate will be in Rockingham. It's a very safe, obviously, very, 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 very safe Labor seat, and always has been. It's always been in Labor's hands. Do you reckon they'll go the 19-year-old law student, someone like that?
God, I mean, it's very hard to say. I've found it quite perplexing in the fact that on the Northern Beaches in the last state election, they basically went, oh, okay, so Rob Stokes and Hazard are retiring in Pittwater and Warringah. I think what we should do is we should put some rich children in there. And one of them won. And cost me $50 in a bet. So, Pittwater has a rich child who probably has a social media history which is full of bigotry, fear, and hatred, and probably has an extensive attendance record at Motorvale Golf Club. But, I don't know. It's hard to say who they're going to pre-select, but I tell you what.
They might not pre-select anybody. They might decide just to sit this one out.
Just put a ficus plant in there.
I mean, in a state election, they're going to have to run a candidate, but in a by-election, they might think,
do you reckon they might sit down?
Do we have anyone this stupid on the books?
Yeah.
This stupid and gullible.
It'd be quite a demoralising moment. You know, imagine doing the headshot for it. You'd be like, smile. Like, but for why? Why would I smile? What am I smiling for?
Please don't smile.
But look, it is a beautiful time of year for a state by-election, so why not have two of them? I mean, you know.
Two. In fact, there'll be a federal by-election too. That's
you can see that's a lead-in.
That's Stu Roberts is resigning, of course, so the seat of Fadden is available, and it's been made available. The LNP candidate was a man who was stood down as a candidate some 10 years ago when it was found out that he said his wife had attended a swingers event.
Oh.
And the LNP went, oh, he's not the sort of man we thought he was, and they got rid of him. But he's actually been pre-selected to run in Fadden.
And I'm sure he's still rooting and tooting.
Hey, it just
world has changed.
Shows the LNP is growing up. Anyway, so we have two. So we have the one federal coming, and we've got the two state by-elections. One that's been created around McGowan's resignation, and one in Victoria. And there's no real cooker takes on this, but it does threaten to cause all sorts of rumbling and chaos within the dysfunctional Victorian Liberal Party.
Oh, bless.
And this brings us to Victoria, of course, where Liberal MLA, that's the lower house, folks, member of the Legislative Assembly, Ryan Smith, announced his resignation from politics on Wednesday.
Oh.
He's a four-termer, sitting member and former minister in the Baillieu government, and with too many shadow cabinet appointments to name here because they've been in opposition that long, resigned by media statement to the media. Ryan didn't tell his boss he was leaving, and actually his boss, John Pizzotto, had actually kept him out of the new shadow cabinet appointments after that. So Ryan, a man of my skills, just sitting on the backbench. So he's resigned. He didn't tell his boss he was leaving. He Johnny paychecked his resignation in. Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more.
That's the good
Johnny
shit.
checked. I think Johnny. That was Johnny Paycheck's only Western hit.
Well, he kind of named himself around the song, so
He
you
did,
can see how it may be planned.
I wonder where he is, Johnny Paycheck, now. You know, I hope he's doing okay.
Maybe he's a backbencher in Victoria. Who knows? So here's a quote. After over 16 years serving as the member for Warrandyte, and with a great deal of consideration, I have decided it is time to bring this chapter of my life to a close. He's not tired. He's just bored. I have been privileged to hold this role and believe that many who choose this career do so with their community's best interest in mind. Oh, that's a lie. However, amongst other reasons, I have become increasingly uncomfortable with the growing negative tone of politics, both internally and more broadly. That isn't a lie.
Well, that's a nice old slap for the party and probably the boss on the way out, that he's been very vague about it. And the truth be told, Smith's primary vote has been in gradual decline. As I say, he's a four-termer. Since his high watermark in 2008, where he had 58.5% of the primary vote. And now, with the most recent election, he won a go-to preferences do not pass go just yet anyway, 47.3 in 2022. So this is leafy outer eastern suburbs territory in Melbourne.
Yeah, it's a safe seat, but it's not an impossible seat.
No, it's only 4%. It's only just over 4%. Labor would need, but
that being said, that's 4% in the last election, which was a fucking landslide victory. Exactly. So, you know, with perspective like that, I think it makes sense. And look, let's compare it to Rockingham in Western Australia. You know, the lower house site of Warrandyte, it's unlikely to change hands in a by-election, very similar to Mark McGowan's old seat. But as you say, it's a much more achievable 4% swing, and that would do it, which is possible. But it really won't happen. I mean, we've got Dan's budget, which among a suite of these sort of new levies and taxes that include slugging most private schools of payroll tax and a mental health levy, which will likely manifest in some form or another and sort of raise school fees at some stage later this year. Rich people are pissed. So you're not going to see a swing toward Labor in leafy suburbs.
Well, it's middle Australia. It's middle Melbourne. It's middle Melbourne.
I wouldn't say that private schools middle Melbourne when you can't afford a house on a good salary. This is my millennial outrage coming here.
If you doubt me, just take a look at secondary school figures in Victoria for 2020. 43% of secondary school students are enrolled in private schools. 43%. In Warrandyte, Donvale and East Doncaster, it's closer to 70.
Jesus Christ.
So I'm going to say Warrandyte is unlikely to change hands.
No.
Just that 4% swing would be fantastic if it does.
It'd be very funny.
But anyone with a good news for political blood will have had their olfactory senses twitching, and that Smith's resignation might let slip the dogs of war within the Victorian Liberal Party, leading not to just a factional splintering, but a complete implosive evisceration, mass organic destruction with great chunks of political flesh from factional habitués sucked in and then blown out to all points of the compass, followed by a swift defenestration. And frankly, I think it's overdue.
I can't argue. So the Victorian Liberal Party lies somewhere east of John Howard's Broadchurch, really, right across the road from Lincoln's House Divided. There is a bit of a problem.
Yeah,
maybe
more
it
of a
rhymes
house
with
divided
deeming.
than a broad church, I would think. And those who can recall the Bolte Hamer, not years, but decades, would scarcely believe it. Sir Henry Bolte was Premier for 18 years, succeeded directly by Sir Rupert Hamer, who enjoyed 3 thumping election victories on the trot before he gave Lindsay Thompson a hospital hand pass in 1981.
Ouch.
They had 28 successive years in government. 40 years later, the Victorian Liberal Party is not fit for purpose as an alternative government. It holds just 19 seats in the 88-seat lower house chamber with a primary vote south of 30% across the state. Now, depending on volume metrics, and volume metrics are very important to determine or to indeed define whether what is going to happen in the Liberal Party the Victorian Liberal Party is an implosion or an explosion. So you'll need to check volume metrics. But whether it's an implosion or an explosion, it's bound to be messy, but it needs to happen. Take the pain now so that some phoenix might rise from the ashes and challenge a lazy and tired government. And while the election is more than 3 years away, the prospect of a limp, ideologically confused opposition that could lose yet again in 2026 would render Victoria a virtual one-party state. But Victorians are now learning that doing things the Dan way is going to cost a bit more, and sooner or later, Middle Australia is going to have to take a haircut. And in 3 years, there will be a clamour for an alternative government. It just will be.
Well, there'll be a further one. I don't think they're going to lose, but I think they'll be challenged.
You can't chip away at that kind of majority. You can't win that sort of majority in one term. I mean, it's possible, but highly unlikely. So it's going to have to chip away. Yeah. But when that opportunity presents itself, where will an unreformed, unreconstructed Victorian Liberal Party be? It'll be in ideological shards on the footpath, not worth a burnt crumpet, and unelectable in the absence of some messy coalition that would make Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu blanch. He wouldn't even come out.
Carry on, Victoria.
Carry on, Victoria. Carry on,
onward and
Victoria.
upwards. Good on you. Bless your hearts.
Cows have fucking masks on.
Everybody is up for the high jump if they deserve it. If they deserve to hang, they will hang.
Rise up, Australia. Men of Australia, time to step up and be real men. Protect your kids or go down biggest cowards this country has ever seen. Hang that animals.
There was an earthquake.
God is angry.
Oh dear. Well, that's a theme. A couple of tectonic plates decided to do the dirty and overturn a few shoe racks. Dogs barked. Things shook.
Cats
and
were scared.
Victorians suffered yet another blow to their already damaged psyche. I mean, seriously, kids on Telegram are engaging in this absurd, fucking strong circle jerk about how this is yet another blow to Victorians, how they've had such a rough time.
Terrible for the tourist industry.
I'm serious though. Like they're fucking. This is like their next victim complex. The fact that a few shoes fell off. Like maybe like someone's like nice glass broke.
What was it on the Richter scale? It was 5 point something
or something.
You know?
Someone great on Twitter.
It's me falling over.
There was this great picture of someone's like shoe overturned and it just said, "We will rebuild." I was like, yeah, exactly. I mean, shoes fell off.
A great storm that was coming their way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking ridiculous. But look, this is all very short-sighted comedy.
Yes, it is.
Because this is actually something to celebrate. Because that wasn't an earthquake, you dopey bastards. It was the white hats clearing out the dumbs. And they know it's true because it was at the sweet spot, 10 kilometres underground. That's when you know it's the dumb clearing.
That's
and for those who are unfamiliar with dumbs, they are the deep underground military bases where people like Dan Andrews and his mates, keep the kids that they root and drain for adrenochrome-rich blood. Yes, if you want to know more about that, listen to our episode of Mole Children because it's
We did do it. Well, we actually did go across the issue of being 10 kilometres underground would actually place you in such pressure, in such barometric pressure that it would crush you like basically a VB can.
Yeah, it's warm. It's warm down there. It's warm.
And a little warm. Yeah, going to be a touch warm.
Yeah, it's problematic. So the mole children theory is so fucking dumb that you really do feel like a lot of cookers would rather pretend that whole thing never happened and leave it in the past. You know, be like,
I never said that.
Look, it was a pandemic.
I didn't say that.
Emotions running hot, you know. I heard this thing from the States. It was called QAnon. It sounded really cool.
It was a very difficult time for me.
It was a weird thing from this like weird kiddie porn forum called 4chan, but I don't know. It's fine. But look, it's back. And it's incredibly common. It's not just like, oh, I found one guy saying it, now I get to report on it and be an asshole. No, it's fucking everywhere. I would love to say that the idea of the white hats clearing tunnels 10 kilometers underground, as you said, problematic distance, was a sort of passing fad and a rare belief in these circles. But it's so fucking common. And they believe it. Like they don't put like little laughing faces or anything like that. These are with straight faces. You know, oh yeah, this is the dumbs. Yeah, the kids got saved. This is really good. So Bosie's been all in on dumbs for ages. He's all in on white hats. This is his shtick, you know? Claimed kids are getting saved left, right, and center. I'm not going to quote him. Not going to watch his videos. I don't care. I see snippets all the time. He's all about it. But of course, that's why he is such a joke. But the thing is, who's having the fucking last laugh? He got about 35,000 votes across New South Wales last election. We walk among a lot of very stupid, gullible people.
Indeed we do. And just a reminder that if you were part of our Zoom conversation, you'd know a little bit more about Ricardo Bosi than you might otherwise know, particularly in regards to his military history.
Yeah, that was a good chat.
Yeah, it was indeed. Really, so there you go. We won't go into it now, but yes.
Well, it's Chatham House rules. You can't really talk about that stuff.
Important information for me.
Yeah. Look, when it comes down to these sort of Zoom things, we do have a bit of a, closed gate.
Chatham House rules, yeah.
Chatham House rules is it. Is it Chatham or Chatham?
Chatham, you're right.
Good. I thought I was sounding like an arsehole.
Chatham. Sorry, no, Chatham.
Is it? Like Latham Chatham?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I got to fix my shit. Anyway,
Don't mention him either.
Well, I'm glad I learned. Look, everyone learns from this podcast, including myself. So obviously there's talk about geoengineering and HARP, it's Dan Andrews, blah, blah, blah. That was all pretty vague and whatever. But it's mostly about saving kids. And here is a banger from a lad on Telegram. And there were a lot, but this is my favourite.
No wicked schemes at play, full stop. There, full stop.
Yeah.
Got to be confused.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, sometimes you got to put two in. Good is at play. The military side of the light and humanity must have just destroyed the last of the underground satanic caverns and deepest tunnel systems.
So it's the last of it.
They already pulled out 1 million children that have never seen the light of day. 1 million.
It's a lot of kids.
It's rather a lot, isn't it?
There's a lot of kids.
I wonder how he
Kmart
knows.
must have had a big run.
It was 1 million. Night operations. Oh, so he does know. While most are masturbating, that's spelt M-A-S-T-A-B-A-T-I-N-G.
It's like masturbating. Fucking idiots. God.
While most are masturbating, thinking everything is okay. No! All in caps. Wakey, wakey.
Hands off snakey.
It is the end. It is end. It is the end of these darkest. That's all in caps too. Organisations and entities sacrificing our children for thousands of years.
Thousands.
We've only been here a couple of hundred, champion. Everywhere around the world in cities, Melbourne a hot pot.
A steamboat of children.
A casserole. Dan has whipped up a casserole. Mr. Dan can't do his pedo-satanic schemes anymore.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's all over. So they are not natural earthquakes. It's for good.
Good. I need some optimism.
Turn off the news or any mainstream. Please don't do that at home, listeners. They'll never, full stop and no space, they'll never tell you the truth, as if it's kind of like a stream of consciousness thing. Rolling on.
At least now you got the truth. I mean, look, if you were ever wondering about what the truth is, that was it.
That was it.
It really was.
Not earthquakes at all.
It was one of my favourite. The masturbating thing I really like, you had to go there.
And it all happened when most people were masturbating, so we didn't actually notice it.
I must say, the thousands of years thing, First Nations people have a lot to answer for. Down in Naarm, where they've been digging tunnels for 40,000 years.
That's right.
Raping children and sucking their blood. Because let's face it, the Aboriginals being the oldest living culture, they got this far. How? Adrenochrome. I mean, you heard it here first, guys.
But hey, look on the bright side. 1 million children saved.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I wonder, over what period of time is that?
If listeners, if you do see a small child sort of glare up at the sun and blink, put the hands in front of the face, then I think what you might have there is one of our 1 million children saved.
Yes, I would
just the eyes just getting used to the light now.
Well, yes, but what you need to do in that situation is obviously, and we're all on the same side here, return the child to Dan Andrews' campaign office. You all know what to do.
All you need.
Don't fuck this up.
Ring the police and they'll do the rest.
No, take it to. You can't call the cops. They're not on board. You've seen how they behave. Vic Polar are law unto themselves. They don't understand mole children.
They're on board now.
Oh, good. So, look, there's lots of shit about God. Of course there is. Onegs reckons it's a sign from God. That's awesome. Like, as if we need more end-time hysteria.
Yeah, let's have more.
When did that ever go wrong? I don't know. Maybe last episode when...
yes, he predicted the end of the world didn't come, so,
Yeah.
a couple of hundred people at least had to starve to death.
Yeah, and if they didn't starve, they were knocked on the head because what's better than starvation? Being bluntly refused life. So look, the Quake... It's a tough gig. So the Quake took on an extra sort of level of Cooker hysteria when it was found that one of theirs sort of, in the Cooker ranks, predicted an earthquake on the day. Reluctant to report on this because this is something that's quite sensitive. So let's just walk into this with a little bit of understanding. Because, so he also predicted climate-related disaster, fires, floods, all the good shit, fire and pestilence, blah, blah, blah. But this was in the midst of a severe mental health episode. Now, the Cookers have often responded to this kind of thing by generally denying the existence of mental illness, seeing all of this stuff as some kind of like prophetic or, playing into their fan fiction.
So medieval.
And just being absolute cunts about it. And to anyone trying to treat this person who's struggling with these delusions and genuinely struggling to get by in life, because delusions aren't fun, and often tinged with horrific depression and very unstable interactions with reality.
Hey, buddy, you got earthquake on your bingo card today.
Well done. Now we're going to make you a fucking deity. So this, of course, was no exception to that fucking rule where they just made a complete cunt of this. They've organised protests. They bombarded the clinic with these so-called welfare checks, which are just harassment campaigns, of course. And it's just one of those things to say that, like, while cookers throughout the entire pandemic have been doing this dumb shit forever, the more things change, the more they stay the same. There's less of them, but they're still there and they're still committed to being pests to people who are trying to do the right thing. Yes, mental illness exists, and yes, some people just need some fucking care and help. Send him a hamper, not cookers. So now
some fucking muffins. I mean, yeah,
exactly. That's all. That's all.
Don't tell him. No, mate, you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And mate, and top work with picking that earthquake. It would have been the last thing.
Well, now he must be an insider, right? And this is the thing. Now he's apparently an insider with special knowledge. This is not how you keep a manic personality on the straight and narrow. You don't keep someone stable by lifting them up to this bizarre, idealized fucking status where their delusions suddenly make them the most popular person in the room. So look, I'm hoping they don't enable this poor guy into a tailspin. It's obvious why we're not naming him, because this is a fucking sensitive issue that I'm just really angry about, and I was unsure that I was going to report on, but it's pissed me off so much that I want to kick these guys in the fucking nuts. And it is so hard to watch when these cooker fucking cunts rally around someone for their own self-serving interests at their detriment, because that's all they give a fuck about. Themselves and their comic book reality, and who's going to help fucking put puzzle pieces together to make them feel fucking vindicated for ruining their own lives in the pursuit of some dumb fucking fantasy. Fuck! Anyway, so the episode has been fun until now, and it's going to continue being fun, but in a way that's also slightly depressing, because speaking of self-interest, we are moving on to a special guest segment with Soz, who is here to tell us about yet another cooker conman who sees a rube in every freedom fighter and hopes he can liberate them of their tyrannical superannuation savings. Oh, really, if you've got a thumb on your neck in the form of, I don't know, $100,000 in savings, don't worry, I can help you with this. Yeah. It's Soz v. Spiros.
I can part you from that.
Yes, exactly. Let me help.
Yeah, one dude who definitely needs to have his collar felt.
Yeah, yes, he does. So what's the deal with Spiros?
Well, old mate, let's go.
Our mate Spiros.
Old mate Spiros. So our story starts all the way back in July 2022 on the lawns at Parliament House.
Fun place.
Yep, remember how we laughed at their daily arguments with the cops about what constituted camping and could we use a sleeping bag and what about a table?
Yep.
Well, one day on the lawn, Everyday Phil looked down the barrel of the live stream and declared that a retired barrister was going to be their wild card.
Ooh, strong suit.
A barrister so winningest that he'd won 27,000 cases in his 20-year career.
Jesus, cooker maths. Fuck me.
So first up, I said, Siri, what's 27,000 divided by 20?
Good question.
1,350 wins a year. Three wins a day.
Fuck.
So this guy truly is the wild card.
Oh, like a wizard, maybe.
Something.
Yeah.
Apparently he was taking Peter Dutton to court in Victoria about COVID.
Good. Why? What?
I don't know. And I went, Everyday Phil. Are you full of shit?
Maybe he is. I think that was a good theory. I think you should flesh that out. That's good.
So that began my journey into the world of a Spartan called Spiros.
Spartan's a good word.
No, that's what he calls himself.
Oh, fuck me.
Every time he talks about himself, he talks about being from Sparta, and that's what makes him invincible.
Because your parents were Greek.
And you can't kill me because I'm a Spartan. That's his thing.
Well, don't test the theory.
So obviously the first thing I did was, jump on the internet.
Of course.
And I thought,
of course you did.
This is going to be easy. Who's the most successful barrister ever in Australia? Because it's got to be this guy.
Well, it's got to be. I mean, the numbers are there.
It can't be anyone else.
How dare you think otherwise?
Nothing.
Wow.
So at this stage, all I had was a name Spiro. So not Spiros. He called him Spiro.
Okay.
So started in Victoria, started searching the law register to see if there was any barristers or solicitors
Classic
called
move.
Spiro or some semblance of that in
Did you
Victoria.
not find any?
No.
Really? Because I must say, look,
I know.
I'm not pulling any punches here, but let's face it. If you're gonna find a Greek guy who practices law, fucking Melbourne's the place you're gonna do it.
There was definitely a couple, but none of them met my criteria of had to have already worked for 20 years and been retired for 20 years only to make a comeback.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, this makes a lot of sense. And also maybe 27,000 cases. I mean, that's
Correct. So no luck.
No.
So he was put on the back burner. And then I think I must have been on Facebook one day. Someone had been talking about the People's Trust.
Ooh.
And I thought, Jesus, this sounds dodgy, this People's Trust. See what I can find out. So the way the People's Trust works is when you get your rates notice.
Oh, good.
You send your rates notice along with full payment of your rates.
Okay, good idea.
Into the People's Trust's bank account.
Oh, no.
And you pay them an extra $10.
Oh, God, why?
And they will then start to annoy your local council to prove that they have the jurisdiction to be able to charge you rates.
Oh, these people are fucked in the head.
So meanwhile, you've missed your rates installment.
Oh, God. I'm getting echoes of Wayne Glue in my head right now.
And now you're being charged interest.
Oh.
And yeah. So much like you, I went, I think we've done this already. And didn't he lose his house?
Deja glue.
Deja glue.
Fucking hell.
So I got in a little bit of a chat with someone on Facebook, and we ended up in Facebook Messenger. And lo and behold, the person tells me that the guy running it is an ex-barrister. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that sounds a bit better. What's his name? And she said his name's Spiros.
Ooh.
So over to Telegram I go. Go into some of the common law type Telegram channels.
Put your gloves on.
Type Spiros. And a flyer pops up for I think it was in WA, some kind of speaking thing.
Okay.
And lo and behold, here's Spiros.
Yeah.
Attorney was the title. And I'm like, that's a strange title to give yourself in Australia.
We don't really use that. Yeah.
Attorney,
that's fine.
That's a bit weird.
Yeah.
So lo and behold, now I knew his full name. And I'm like, no, I'll definitely be able to find him.
Gotta love that.
Straight back to the internet, type in his full name, and the first thing that came up was a story in the Bendigo Advertiser of all places, is where I first saw it, about someone who had taken a hair loss company to court for misleading advertising.
I like that. So has he got much hair?
He does. He's got a full head of hair.
Well, I guess he's doing well. How could it possibly be misleading?
Correct. So I read through it, and lo and behold, old mate Spiros was a director of the hair loss company.
Oh, well, there's the problem, isn't it?
And they'd been done $100,000 for misleading advertising.
Mm-hmm.
But, they did try and get out of it by doing something, totally above board, like deregistering one company and opening another company with a completely different name.
Cool name. It's called Phoenixing.
But, given that the directors of both companies were married, it kind of gave it away.
Yeah, okay.
So that's how they got caught. I also found that that he had been part of some weird reality television show in New Zealand, whereby his private investigators were on the job.
Really?
Yeah.
This is great.
Which was weird, and I still haven't found an episode. So if someone can dig up an episode on that,
do you know what the name of the show is?
Private Eyes.
Private Eyes, and this is something with him, basically as a lawyer, getting private detectives, or
I don't know if we can call him a lawyer.
Yeah, I'm guessing he lied the production company.
No, he ran a company which was a PI process serving organization.
Okay,
I think he
okay.
was like the office manager or whatever. And that company had like real TV cameras come in and film them
Interesting.
working.
I must say, look, when it comes down to these people, as much as they are scammers and they're bullshit artists and they're liars, and we laugh at them in a certain way, which we kind of like almost feels like punching down, we need to take a moment to realize this guy started a fucking hair loss company. We've got enough attention to become a problem. The dude somehow made some private eye thing in fucking New Zealand. I mean, respect. This.
Joe, we haven't even got to the big one yet.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Look, sometimes when it comes to people who I don't necessarily like for many, many reasons, I respect. And so far, Spiros, props to you. I mean, look, your spare time's being spent well. I'm impressed. All right, let's go. There. Let's delve.
Another thing that he used to do, which he still kind of does, is property development.
Yes. Here we go.
I jumped on while I was searching for The Amazing Barrister, I was on the law library websites, and his name did pop up. And I'm like, finally, here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go. We're going to find this case against Peter Dutton that Everyday Phil told me.
Our learned friend. Yeah, it's happening.
Surely
it's
this
happening.
is it.
Yeah. No.
It wasn't.
No.
It wasn't. And I did actually have to send this to Vexatious Litigant at the time.
Good.
Because there was an awful lot of documents relating to this one case. And I'm not a lawyer.
Well, Vaxy's probably
much
one
like
of the smartest people in the
Spiros.
room. Yeah, well, much like Spiros,
I'm not a lawyer.
yes. Yeah.
So, turns out he was authorized to collect stamp duty on behalf of the government.
Was he though?
He was authorized to do it.
Okay.
Issue was when they sent the auditors in, about $3.5 million.
Oh, just a casual $3.5 million.
It just wasn't there anymore.
What do you do with that?
I don't know. But you don't pay it to the tax department.
Amazing.
Turns out maybe you keep it.
Yeah, but like, what are you doing? Like, that's
So
a lot of money.
He kept it, apparently.
Allegedly.
Well, not really. There's judgments. So I don't know if we need to say allegedly.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
Actual judgments.
Yeah. No, the judgments are good. Judgments are good.
So there was a judgment. He was put into receivership
Wow.
by the tax department.
Yeah.
So so that
What did he
was
spend
kind
it on?
of
Meth?
what I kind of found about
good
him.
work. That's good.
So one of the other things that I found out about him, which is one of the, funny little things. So you know how they hate smart cities?
Oh, yes, I hate to. They really do, yes.
Digital ID.
Oh, the worst.
And surveillance.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, yeah.
Oh, they hate it. Well, back in 2002, Spiros was actually using facial recognition technology.
Oh, God, was he?
To help retailers find shoplifters.
Oh, my absolute lack of surprise.
So, Old Mate also ran some kind of limousine service.
This guy's so enterprising. I can't even be upset with him.
He's got a lot of things going on.
I like him at this point. That's the worst part. The worst part is that I respect him.
There is a little bit of consistency in what he does.
Yeah.
In that he doesn't really seem to do anything all that well.
Yeah, okay. But he does it.
He does it.
He's got no filter. He does stuff.
He does it. He seems to start companies. He seems to make some money out of the companies.
Yeah.
He seems to close the companies down quite quickly.
Well, that's a natural progression. Yes, of course.
And move on to the next iteration of who he is.
I won't lie. I'm starting to like this guy, even though he is a cold-blooded scammer.
Well, in a minute, you're not going to like him as much.
Aw, don't ruin the dream.
A current affair.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I feel you.
This is actually a really bad story. Like, it really is.
I still haven't seen it. So, like, I must say, when it comes to my love for Spiros, I haven't quite seen this bit yet. So I'm going to be sitting here and I'm going to be enjoying this just alongside. And I will watch it after. Yeah. But I like the fact that I don't know what's coming.
Okay. So back in 2017, during his property development era,
yes.
he was developing some property down on the Mornington Peninsula.
Okay.
A property called Echo Development.
That sounds nice.
So there's a group of people down there who believed that they were signing a 99-year lease
Fair enough.
on the land that they then spent between $200,000 and $400,000
Ooh, okay.
building villas.
Okay.
Okay, so for the 99-year lease, they paid $200,000 each.
Ooh, okay. That's
So
a lot
all of
money.
them were either in the hole for $400,000 or $600,000, depending on what they built.
How nice their place was, yeah.
Yep. So in late 2022, Spiros' company defaulted on their loans.
Ooh, fuck.
And receivers were appointed, and they issued letters terminating all the leases.
So Spiros basically owned all the land, and these were given leases.
Yeah.
And then once Spiros' thing fucked out, then it became a situation where the leases were somewhat invalid as a result of the fact that, I mean, you know, everyone who was on there, they hadn't agreed with Spiros, but Spiros went bankrupt, and that was the
Correct.
owner. So now new owners came in.
Yep.
The administrators, basically.
The administrators. So these people were given like 14 days.
What?
To get out.
That's insane.
So the receivers did offer the people who are living there a level of compensation.
Okay.
So they offered them $90,000 if you had a single-story unit.
Okay. So
And $140,000 if you had a double-story unit.
So they're walking about like half to a quarter.
Yeah. So pretty much people will either be $300,000 out of pocket.
Oh, fuck.
For the single-story villa.
Jesus.
Or $460,000 if they built the two-story.
Oh, my God.
Now, the people who live there, Joe, are predominantly older retiree, just about to retire.
So they're fucked.
They'll never recover financially.
They're just fucked.
Like, it's actually distressing watching it. These people packing up their stuff. They've got nowhere to go.
How good is public housing too? Like, where do they go?
That's what one of them said. Like, where am I moving to?
There's actually no unless you've got like a basically like wealthy kids or
correct
or like wealthy friends, like you're fucked.
Correct. So one of the people that actually spoke about it said like how great a talker Spiros was.
Apparently so. Look at all the businesses runners.
And he told them there was going to be an adventure playground there.
Aww.
And she said it was almost like, this will be a great place for my grandkids to come. Yeah, because we're going to build an adventure playground over there.
Yeah.
And he even told them that there was hot springs running underneath the property.
Is that in any way true?
It probably is close to the hot springs, but that doesn't mean there's hot springs running underneath the land.
Yeah, okay.
But you know that one day we'll open a day spa and we'll have the hot springs water coming up.
Just bullshit.
Serious level bullshit.
Just bullshit. Fuck, man.
So these poor people are destitute.
Fuck.
And then you've got the Facebook and Telegram stuff. So there's a channel on Telegram, which is a lot of stuff to do with Spiros.
Okay.
His next thing that he's working on is something called a royal registry where you could design your own bloody family crest.
Is it like a subset thing or something?
Yeah. And you register it, and somehow that means you're going to then
okay, and then you don't have to
own
pay
the title to your own, and you won't have to pay tax.
No
and all
straw
that
man,
yes,
all that sort of thing.
Yes.
Yep.
So in that channel, you know, like someone did comment, "Whoa, that current affair."
That current affair is pretty bad. Yeah,
crikey. Shut down straight away.
Really? What, the whole channel or just the person?
No, just anyone who comments.
Just
don't
delete,
mainstream media.
Of course. Yep.
They never tell the truth. There's more to the story.
Big lies. Yeah.
Spiros never comes on and defends himself, though.
Well, why would you bother? I mean, look, you know, you just go on to the next thing.
And then over on Facebook, you've got because one thing about Spiros is that it was Spiros and Bergwerth that started MyPlace.
Yeah. Was it Spiros and Bergwerth?
Yes. Spiros is the legal department of MyPlace.
He's OG.
Yeah. And he and Darren choose where MyPlace is open. They have final say on who acts as the treasurer. So you've got
Fascinating.
half of the MyPlace people going, Spiros is a crook. And the other half of MyPlace going, no, he isn't.
He's great. He's original. He's there. He's the first guy. Fuck.
Crazy.
That's dense.
So I can't remember what night was the current affair thing. Was it the Tuesday or the Wednesday? It was when we were doing the conditional release program Zoom call.
The
wasn't
Zoom
it?
would have been Tuesday, yeah. And
Yeah.
that was like, it was one of those things where like basically it was on then and I just haven't had a moment. I had a fucking
Yeah.
exam
Well,
recently. I've been drinking heavily.
Wednesday night, he was on a Zoom call.
Oh, that's right, with Jamie fucking McIntyre.
Jamie McIntyre.
Jamie fucking McIntyre. What a scamming cunt.
Financial well-being round table discussion.
That's right, financial well-being from a motherfucker who's like a fucking con man, a
Banned.
property con man.
Correct. And it was just crypto talk
Just nonsense.
non-stop.
Just traps.
And there was this guy on there, like one of the experts, 19 years old,
Oh,
talking
God.
about your financial well-being.
An
Works for his dad's company.
Of course he does.
And without a lie, says, one of the things that I think, we need in Australia is like better education at school. I didn't finish high school.
Oh, brilliant. I love it.
I'm thinking you didn't finish high school. You're 19, working for your dad's company, and you're here giving financial
Amazing.
advice.
And this is what people fucking look up to. Jamie McIntyre, who's a fucking convicted scammer, is he? He is on the fucking record. You got Spiros, who I tell you what, apparently is quite colourful.
Wow.
And you've got a child.
Yeah.
Tell you more about financial freedom. I want to know.
It was crazy.
Embarrassing.
So
I did see that on Telegram, and it made me fucking
It
laugh.
was really bad. It was God bless Sandy and I. We sit through a lot of this shit.
You
But
really do.
That one was particularly shit.
Jamie's one of my least favourite people in this whole thing. And I think he does have a lot of echoes of Spiros and the fact that my gut feeling is that these people see suckers.
Yeah, they're just fast talkers.
They're not necessarily cookers. They're opportunists who see suckers.
And look, that's one thing about Spiros in particular.
Yeah.
In 2017, he was doing property development.
Yeah.
In 2000, I think it was 2011
okay.
or something. He's not
He's
new.
got form, man.
He's not
Do you know
new.
how old he is, by any chance?
Oh, he'd be close to 60. Late
Yeah, okay.
50s, close to 60.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
whenever he calls into things, he has to get in his what looks like a really nice sports car, and he has to drive to the top of the hill of where he lives to get any kind of coverage.
Yeah, okay. So it looks like a really nice sort of situation. Mr. fucking, nice sports car in this gorgeous, idyllic state. Really, it's just a cunt.
Yeah. So obviously, we'll see what happens next.
There's a lot to unfold here. This seems like a very much like a big story that is sort of just seeing light and just seeing sunlight, which I love.
I hope so. It's a little bit like the Derek story, Derek Ballog.
Yeah, isn't he a fucking character?
We know this movement is full of lonely, isolated, vulnerable people.
Yeah, it's true. And
primed to make really, really bad decisions.
We should also respect the fact of their vulnerability. And I think there is a humanity that we need to preserve for the victims of these scammers because they are con men. And con men, like you say, fast talking Spiros. Correct. One of the things that they seem to be very much isolating on when it comes to a lot of these projects is self-managed super funds. Trying to convince people to take their money out of traditional union-based super funds and self-managed to give them hands and keys to these fucking scammers.
Well, that's one thing I didn't tell you about Spiros is he was asking, remember, this guy is not a lawyer.
No, neither am I, but,
He was saying to people, I'm happy to represent you.
Ooh, don't say that if you're not a lawyer.
But you need to sign over enduring power of attorney.
Oh no!
To me.
Oh and my God!
Some people did.
Oh my God! That is so predatory.
Now, I feel like part of me's dead inside for what I'm about to say. But props to Sheeds.
Yeah, I know. Isn't
Props
it
to
just?
Sheeds.
I've seen this too.
Because she did a live
and
about
called it out.
if any of you have signed an enduring power of
Reverse
attorney,
the fuck out of
you
it.
need to get to someone as
Fix
soon as
it.
possible and fix it.
And not Nathan Buckley like a real lawyer.
Correct, because otherwise this guy has got control over your property and your house and your
this
money
is bad.
until you say you don't want him to anymore.
Yeah.
So
get it fixed.
I don't know how many of those people there are. And this is part of the issue in this movement is it's impossible for people who have been hurt to speak up.
100%. It's
because they are scared.
And they'll be shut down, and also sometimes
they get
they're isolated.
Ostracized. Correct.
Exactly.
These people, whether we want to admit it or not, this is all these people have left.
And they're people. Like, we're not fucking totally cold-hearted. A lot of the part of this whole thing is, look, I've been isolated from a lot of people in my life because of the fact that they've gone to the cook thing. And to be fair, I was a cooker myself. I'm the one who changed.
Yep.
But there is real human damage in these sort of situations, and our empathy and our humanity needs to be preserved.
Agree.
We can't laugh at the victims. We cannot enjoy that. But what we can do is we can enjoy the brilliance and wonder of the things around it, the fiction and the narratives and things like that. But when it does come down to it, it's a sobering moment where Spiros is hilarious until he's not.
Correct. Until you see a real person go,
real
I've
harm.
been damaged by this.
And the eco thing, people who are fucking getting kicked out with 2 weeks' notice. Fucking hell, man. And this is one of the reasons why we do two things, which is we throw sunlight on these people because, let's face it, if you're going to listen to media, it should at least be amusing, and goddamn, these people are funny. But also to throw sunlight on issues that should just be exposed. So everyone can understand that organizations like MyPlace, fuckheads like this, and just con artists in general, it needs to be understood that they are not good people, their objectives are terrible, almost always self-serving, and they should be stamped out. And if the authorities aren't going to do a fucking good job of it, I guess people like you have to kind of step in and fill in and coordinate with media to try and make these things happen. And maybe someone's going to fucking do something about this fucking psycho criminal who's ruining lives like it's a fucking sport.
Correct.
Yeah. It's a wild fucking ride. Spiros is not a good person.
I don't think we're done with Spiros.
No.
I think there's more to come.
I would imagine so. But I tell you what, so far so good, Spiros. Well done. You've done some shit. You've been quite active. And I hope that at some point you have a really bad trip and realise that you've ruined everyone's life.
That's what I hope. I hope that the fuck around and found out is just around the corner for Spiros.
I've lost faith in karma so long ago, but at the same time, I've been on enough very strong psychedelic trips, and I know these guys like to dabble in it. I hope you take some mushrooms and realize what a piece of shit you are. That would feel good to me. A little bit of casual mycelium justice, you motherfucker. It was a real absolute pleasure having you on as usual, and I look forward to the next time. And look, Cooker update. It's the best one yet.
Thanks, Joel. See you, everyone.
Thanks, Oz. See ya.
We fired you, we sacked you, we dismissed you as what? As garbage, because that's all you are. You're a criminal, you're a traitor, and you're going to the biggest barbecue in history. So from Christmas dinner to you are the dinner.
Thank you, that's what I'll go with.
Forget lawyers and their damn fees, listeners. Who do they think they are? Fucking dentists? Some people who know how to charge. Lawyers, we don't need no stinking lawyers.
I like it.
And to prove that, I received a bundle of documents this week which will reveal what I'd like to call the stairway to success by self-representation.
Yes, listeners, you too can walk the stairway to success by self-representation. There's an old expression, right? A lawyer who doesn't represent themselves has a fool for a client. Is that right?
That's how it works. That's exactly how it works.
Fool me twice? There's an expression there. There's an expression. Yeah,
the stairway to success by self-representation is a guaranteed 10-step program that will not only make lawyers obsolete, but the entire justice system rendered bogus to the point where every illegal judge, politician and cop has to shuffle past you offering apologies before they are sent to the gallows for execution. They know what they did. Hanging's too good for them. So let's hang him.
Well, it's
Hang
the
on.
most fun thing. It's very theatrical. It's good.
Step 1. Have a Barney with a family member, a
Good.
sibling, a parent, or, for extra audacity, sue your granddad.
Fuck the old fart.
Can't fuck him. Maybe over property, maybe over an estate. It's not important. What is important is that you develop a profound sense of persecution. Remember, you're the victim here.
At all times. And of course, step 2 is hit the Subset Telegram pages and tell anyone who cares to listen that you are the subject of a vast conspiracy that goes all the way to the Vatican, NASA, and the Rothschilds. I mean, you always know the Jews are involved.
Mm-hmm.
Sit back and enjoy their free, ongoing, often uninvited legal advice. Well, it's free for a while, at least on a trial basis.
Step 3. Fire a bogus statement of claim, claiming injury and financial loss that you can't prove because you're unemployable and a threat to life and limb in the shower. They fucking owe you.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Because you're a victim. So, you see, step 4 is to grab a textbook on 17th century maritime law, available at all good bookstores, look at it, and throw it straight in the fucking bin.
Portuguese, whatever, in the bin.
Jurisdiction, boys. Jurisdiction. Come on.
Step 5. Read the Magna Carta.
Ooh, we're stepping
Remember,
up.
phrases written in Middle English are hard to understand, so don't bother memorising the Magna Carta.
No.
Just get the gist of it so you can get to your feet and give the treasonous judge of the illegal government a good feel with what you think is the real vibe of the Magna Carta.
Yeah, the more strange the Old English is, the more you can play with it and fiddle with the meaning. It's good.
Not literal.
Step 6, once a court date is set, commence a private prosecution of the judge for treason. The only thing you can do. Not sedition, which is really hard to say and quite boring. No, it has to be treason.
Got to be treason.
Much cooler. That judge has been part of an illegal government who's been up to no good and committing treason every fucking day of the year. Probably a pedophile too. Now also, the judge will respect you more if she knows that you're not going to be a doormat. This is very important. You've got to assert dominance. So whenever you address her, say, Your Honour, with those finger air quotes.
That's important.
That's very important.
Get those air quotes in there.
It's actually a form of bowing in maritime law. They love that. They love that shit. They know that you're the alpha dog. So they're not going to talk down to you. You'll never have to understand them again. Let her know that you expect her to be judicious and fair-minded, even though you demand she be hauled away at any time and hanged by a group of people you spent on Telegram for treason. Bosie has the rope. Let's get this done.
Yeah. Step 7. Live stream proceedings until the treasonous judge from the illegal government tells you to stop or go to jail for contempt.
Fuck that lady. Let's go to jail for contempt. I might even start a GoFundMe.
That's step 8, Joel. Go to jail for contempt.
That's step 8? I mean,
Yep.
let's just do it. Let's just get there.
Step 9, read Mein Kampf in prison, nodding at the end of each paragraph.
Read it in German, despite you not understanding German. That's even better. I love your work. Step 10, which is a good one, await the judgment. Oh, so many sleepless nights. If you lose, you lose. Who gives a fuck? A treasonous judge from the illegal government can stick her cost orders fair and square up her ass. And what money? You don't have any. Fuck her.
That's right. They can't get blood out of a stone.
Absolutely not.
And what if you win?
What?
Well, you won't win.
No.
Soft-sits never fucking win.
0. It has been a huge week of Pete Evans, where the craggy-faced alleged neo-Nazi former conspiracy theorist celebrity pizza cook has decided that it's time for quality, not quantity. He clocked up a mere 56 posts this week, and on face value, that looks like a meagre showing from Pete.
It's nothing for Pete.
Oh, he usually clocks up at least 150 posts a week. Easy. These are rookie numbers. But there's no Tucker Carlson clips to share anymore.
No.
So, I mean, like, his favourite hate-filled white supremacist has gone off the air for a bit, and now Pete's sort of filling in the gaps. But he's filling them with his own words.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that's right, folks. He's opening up to us.
What we'd always hoped would happen.
It's like Pete's an oyster with a beautiful pearl inside, but that pearl is hate-filled turf nonsense. So while Pete still mindlessly shares bullshit and disinformation about vaccines, including a Canberra Times article shared by none other than Karen Phelps on Twitter, you can figure that one out yourself. And of course, banging on about Bitcoin, he started inserting a few hot takes of his own, and I'm fucking here for it. Ladies and gentlemen, you will not be disappointed by what he comes up with. So let's start with a hot take following a clip of none other than Dan Andrews on the evening news, reminding people to get vaccinated. He followed up with this fantastic piece of thought.
Pete followed up. Yeah, of course it is, because it's his own words now.
It's his own words.
Oh, these are some here. I'm a bit trembly. Anyway, how long until they start pushing the 6th and 7th?
Ooh.
I wonder if there is a certain number they will stop at. As we have learnt, these injections can only cause harm, as are not safe at all.
We have learned that.
We have, as are not safe at all. That's not great grammar.
Oh, no, you're not going to enjoy this. I told you, this is Pete's own words.
Do you actually need to have your fucking cookbooks desk edited? Are you that fucking functionally illiterate? Anyway, he did pop in the 3 heart emoji.
He did pop in the 3 hearts. He likes that. And look, I mean, this one's pretty obvious. Right, they will probably push the 6th and 7th in like 6 to 12 months' time. The vaccine's efficacy waned over time. This is the way it is. Look, I don't make vaccines. I can't say I made a better one. But yes, Pete, that does make us repeat customers. And if you see that, Pete, repeat customers, do you like that? No, you don't. And it wasn't funny, and neither is the absurd notion that routine vaccinations are inherently bad, you fucking dope. I'm on my 5th now, and my 6th is already booked in because I'm in a clinical trial. Because I'm fucking rolling up my sleeve because I'm not a cunt like Pete. That's in 6 months' time, and that's fine. I'm not bothered by this in the slightest. Why should Pete be? Well, he's an anti-vaxxer, so what do you expect from him? I mean, he's a fucking anti-vaxxer. He just is. He's scared of vaccines. And then he goes on to play a video from Channel 9 News. He's fucking loving the mainstream media clips. And let's face it, Tucker Carlson was mainstream media.
Watching free-to-air.
So, it is what it is. This reported on the Osivax flu shot trial, which gives longer-lasting and broader protection against the flu. Pretty good, right?
That's good, isn't it? That's a good
Seems like a good thing. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. See, in Pete's tiny brain, apparently, less jabs are a good thing. So I'm struggling to see what the problem here, but then I struggle less when I realize that he's just a fucking anti-vaxxer.
That's right.
So he went on to say this.
They want volunteers to experiment on.
Mm-hmm.
Such a fascinating time to witness the show all in caps.
Mm-hmm.
See where he's going with that? See what he's doing? See what he did there?
That's what he does.
Being played out. Hearts.
Yep.
The doctor pushing it seems to be quite inflamed. Why do so many of these doctors that push these look very unhealthy? Come on, Pete. I mean, you were the craggiest looking bastard in Australia, and I know everything about crag. I'm of that age where I'm looking at myself in the mirror and going, geez, I got a bit of crag up today. But, mate, you are all over it.
And
you look like you've been a wicket keeper. You look like you've been in the sun all your fucking life, man. And it's only a matter of time before the tumours form. So don't start. When you've got really no business pointing out aesthetics on other people.
100%. And also, how's this fucking guy and the fucking nerve with this lot that were banging on about how the COVID vaccines were not trialled extensively enough. And now that a flu jab is being trialled, and unsurprisingly, you're being a cunt about it. Well, Pete, I was actually one of those volunteers. So I guess, am I going to start getting inflamed soon? Are my fingers going to start puffing up? Am I dying? Oh my God, my pancreas! Don't you go anywhere
near Pete with your viral load.
I'll shed on him. I wish I hadn't taken that experimental jab. It wasn't worth the premium snacks and good coffee. They do have good coffee and premium snacks, though. Clinical trials are fucking great, by the way.
The Cragster, I mean, it's just not good, mate. I mean, there can't be any mirrors up at his house. I mean, he probably has sort of silver foil that he polishes, but they still just so he can get a glimpse of himself.
I hate to see his new haircut because it's fucking tragic. But the thing with the clinical trial is that, like, I must say, I don't actually know whether I got the Osivax or the normal flu jab. That was the two options. And that's the nature of a blind trial. You don't really get a placebo. You either get the normal jab, you get the Osivax and the normal jab, or you get, it's like, it's sort of like, one or the other or both. But when it comes down to it, I turned up, I got my dose, I followed protocol, and that's how medicines are fucking developed. And look, sure, food is medicine. Cool, we get it. You got a t-shirt. That's really cool, Pete. We love you. You're very smart. But so are vaccines. And I don't actually see these things being mutually exclusive. Outside of my mild dependence on alcohol, I actually eat quite well. So thanks, Pete. You're preaching to the fucking converted. Also, I engage in Western medicine because I'm not a fucking cunt. But mate, do you want to talk about being inflamed? You want to talk about people who look inflamed? You look like shit. As Jack said quite easily, you were a good-looking bloke. And
very
somehow...
craggy. Very craggy, Pete.
Unprotected sun exposure. He brags about it. And whatever the fuck you've been eating, apparently food is medicine. Well, it's not fucking aesthetic medicine. It's not fucking cosmetic medicine. That's a damn sure.
Yeah.
The dude does look about 15 years older than he is.
Cosmetic medicine.
And look, he used to be a good-looking guy. He's literally craggy-faced. I mean, they're not my words. They're from the fucking Daily Mail. Inflamed? Sure. You can just throw some more rocks in that glass house, mate, but you are smashing windows all left, right, and centre. Look, as Cam shared on Twitter this week, a great little video, Pete's brain just apparently malfunctions every now and then. He just, he was just doing some routine stuff around the house for like one of these, evolved sanctuary things he does. And he's just sort of brain falls apart. He sort of walks into a pizza door and can't quite compute it. It's quite strange. The dude has crazy eyes. He looks really baked. I think he might have been on ketamine at the time. At least that's an explanation. It's that sort of like conspiracy theorist type thing of needing an explanation for everything. I need him to be on ketamine for that to be real. Because if he wasn't, his neurons are firing at a regular beat, and I think he needs to see a doctor. That being said, no, don't see a doctor. You'll annoy them too much.
Very craggy. Very, very craggy.
So
indeed.
craggy.
Oh.
Glass houses,
The
Pete.
craggiest.
Glass houses. And of course, on the topic of food being medicine, of course, he also bragged about this absurd theory that garlic cures COVID.
No.
This is very similar to bleach. It's certain types of garlic in a petri dish that kills COVID. Great. And guess who sponsored the study? Big Garlic. So I'm guessing it's okay as long as it's not Big Pharma. It can be big anything, probably not military industrial complex, but Big Garlic is fine. But let's face it, let's just talk facts here. When was the last time an agricultural firm lied to us? Really? All the time. That's your shtick, Pete. You're always going on about big agriculture, Monsanto, and all those sort of companies, which admittedly I'm not a huge fan of.
Make a bit of garlic, don't they? Monsanto.
This is your thing.
Whip up a bit of garlic every now and then.
You do not trust the agricultural lobby. This is your shtick. Do I need to remind you of your beliefs, you fucking dope? But of course, now that it works into the whole, we didn't need a vaccine, which Craig Kelly's pushing and you're sharing, you just have no consistency. I'm sorry, mate. You can't get in bed with big agriculture when it suits you and then say that they're all poison merchants when it doesn't. But this is the thing. You simply believe things that make you feel good, which includes maybe Nazi shit. What a considered perspective you have. I mean, really, role model for us all. But anyway, here's his 2 cents on making the garlic thing all about him. And this follows a 7 news story, like I said, loving the mainstream media, on the garlic study.
Apparently food is medicine. Where have we heard that before? 3 laughing emojis. Very, very, they're really pissing themselves.
Oh, really having a good laugh.
As mentioned many times, this is the greatest, in caps again, show on Earth. He doesn't actually capitalise Earth. You fucking idiot, Pete. He's just talking about, a pile of dust. It's like fucking. Will you capitalise the planet, man? Do you capitalise S for sun? Do you capitalise M for Mars? You fucking moron.
No, he doesn't.
Sorry,
he doesn't.
Sorry, Pete.
I like it. The grammar Nazi is back with the actual Nazi having a chat. It's good. So yeah, Pete, look, if only we listened to you. See, this one has been catnip to anti-vaxxers since the Dodgy Institute opened their big fucking mouths and endorsed this very early stage study saying that garlic kills COVID. Now, I, for one, start hoping that cookers run down to Aldi, open up a jar of garlic, suck up the juice from the top of the jar into a hypodermic needle and boof it straight into their veins, preferably
straight in the
a
left eyeball. Straight in the left eyeball with this.
Just get in there. I mean, look. But why not? It kills COVID, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
definitely safer than deadly vaccines.
Did it in a petri dish, and inside my body is exactly like a petri dish.
What could possibly go wrong?
You're very craggy, man. Very craggy.
Very
You have
craggy.
been listening to the Conditional Release program with your host, Jack the Insider and Joel Hill.
Jack can be found on Twitter at Jack the Insider and Joel at Crunchy Moses with AK. It's on our Facebook page. You can find fairly easily. And if you enjoyed the episode, please share it on social media. Expand our reach. We can't do it. It's weird.
Reach for us.
Yes.
Don't give us a not
Give us a reach.
around.
Around. No, do.
No. Expand our reach. That's what we meant. We have a Patreon to help keep this sustainable, this thing of ours, Cosa Nostra. It's bloody time consuming and we still have to pay the rent. Help keep the lights on, people.
Because for as little as $5 a month, you'll have access to all sorts of bonus content, including a weekly premium episode, which we try to make worth your while with all sorts of cooker bullshit and stuff that we probably shouldn't say on the main show, so we don't.
A little bit of that, a little bit of loose talk.
Yeah.
And finally, all feedback, tips, and death threats should be sent to the Conditional Release Program at gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, even if it's to tell us to get in the fucking truck to Guantanamo. Quite frankly, it's about time.
Yeah, I'm tired. Let's just get this done. Yeah. Thanks, listeners. See you next time.
Be nice to have a lie down. Thanks, listeners. So, yeah.
It's more of a stand-up, though, isn't it? It's more of a stand-up.
I don't think I ever want to talk to any of those people.
Fuck me, you guys are bastards.